to the people that are wishing good brachas, and all those that are doing all of these things for the sake of the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin and so on. So all of this adds even more so in the comfort and consolation al nifteres and the one that passed away. Until the true comfort and consolation, the comfort and consolation of Tzion Yerushalayim b'korev mamish, soon mamish. Then it will be that it will awaken and sing those that are resting in the ground. And she amongst them. This consolation, the consolation of Tzion Yerushalayim, Tia will be in addition to the comfort that the Nevi'im give the Jewish people, that they say, comfort, comfort my nation. So this is something that the Nevi'im said to the Yidden. Gam, it'll be additional to this, will be Iker, and primarily Idea Kodesh Baruch Hu Atzmoi through Hashem himself. Anoichi, Anoichi Menachemchem. I am the one that's comforting you. As the different Mefarshim speak about it, and the orders of the Haftorahs that we first after Tisha B'Av we say Nachmu Nachmu Ami, and the Yidden are unhappy that it should be the Nevi'im should give us comfort. So later on, a few weeks later, we read a Haftorah that says Anoichi Anoichi Menachemchem, that Hashem says I am the one that comforts you. And this itself of Hashem comforting us, how does it use the expression Anoichi Anoichi beis pam? It says Anoichi twice. This is higher than it was in Matan Torah. Kakos of Anoichi pamachas, like it says Anoichi in the singular. We're now around Parshas Yisro, so the Rebbe is referring back and making comparisons to what we will receive when Moshiach comes, to what happened by Matan Torah. Matan Torah, it was only Anoichi. Hashem said I only once, but by the comfort of Moshiach's times, it says twice the word Anoichi, which shows on a higher level of Hashem's essence and so on being communicated to us. Since Hashem's addition is more than the primary, this means as follows, that Chazal say that when a human being adds to something, so he adds to the degree that it's the main thing is the principle, and whatever is added is a little bit more. You know, a baker's dozen. Instead of 12 eggs, you get 13 eggs. Fine. But by Hashem we say that Tosfosai, when Hashem adds, the addition from Hashem is more than the primary. And not just it's more than it, Va'ad meruba bein aroich kanal, until it's so great that it's incomparable, like the Rebbe spoke about earlier. How they move, so it's understood that Hashem's increase and addition in the consolation by saying twice Anoichi. So since Hashem's addition, so it's an addition that's like to the greatest degree. It's in an incomparably higher way than the revelation of Anoichi that was once in Matan Torah. Because Hashem, when he gives additional, it's not just a little bit more; it's incomparably greater. So Hashem was the one that said Anoichi b'Matan Torah. When it comes to Moshiach's times, he says Anoichi, Anoichi twice. So it's understood the second Anoichi is so much greater and unbelievably higher than the first Anoichi of Matan Torah. And how do we see this? We can actually see this from something that occurred after Matan Torah. Like it's understood also from Hashem's comforting Moshe Rabbeinu on breaking of the luchas, that the Medrash relates that Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, Al titztayir beluchas harishonos, do not be upset about the first luchos that were broken. It was only the 10 dibros alone. Ubeluchas hashniim ani noisen lachot sheyehei behem halachas, medrashas, v'agodas. In the second luchas, I'm including halachas to it. I'm including medrash. I'm including all the agodas that's brought down in Torah Sheba'al Peh. In other words, essentially, Hashem gave him the Torah B'Ksav in the luchas Rishonos, and the luchas Shnius Hashem added greater to an unbelievable degree of the Torah Sheba'al Peh. Hado, the Chsiv, this is where it says, Vayagid l'chot halumis chachma kiflaim tushia. I've told you over the secrets of chachma, double for strength. So the Rebbe explains, Sha'pirish tikiflaim l'tushiahu. What does it mean, double strength? That the Medrash is saying that from the fact that it says double strength, that means that now in the second luchas I gave you so much more. It's not just a quantitative doubling of what was given in the first luchas of Matan Torah, but rather shenitoisef ribui muflag, an unbelievable, an additional amount halachas, medrashas, v'agodas, the halachas, medrash, and agadata, ad v'talumas chachma, until even the concealed part of chachma, ribui muflag shein aroich, an unbelievable, powerful amount of above and beyond. So we see this idea that when Hashem comforts with over the top. So just like Hashem comforted Moshe Rabbeinu for the breaking of the luchas, and the Rebbe in a footnote on the previous page also mentioned that the passing of the tzaddikim are actually likened to the breaking of the luchas. So the idea of Hashem giving us so much in comfort for the breaking of the luchas is the same thing. It applies to the comfort that will be with the coming of Moshiach. Now, one could insist that this was only like a personal comfort that Hashem gave to Moshe Rabbeinu and doesn't have anything to do with us. So the Rebbe says no. Through Moshe Rabbeinu, it's communicated to every generation. Through the words of comfort and consolation that Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu then when he broke the luchas. This comes down to the expansion of Moshe Rabbeinu in every generation, which is what's the expansion of Moshe Rabbeinu in every generation? To the leaders of Yidden that's in every generation, till the leader of our generation. So therefore, this comes out and this manifests itself as well to all generations in all time. Again, this was something having to do with the Torah. So the Rebbe says in the footnote 48 that since the Hashem looked in Torah and through Torah created the world, so by Hashem giving this comfort and consolation to Moshe Rabbeinu on matters pertaining to Torah, that the luchas were broken and I'm giving you much more Torah after that, through that Moshe will also the Moshe Rabbeinu as well will have this in all matters of the world as well, we will have this additional comfort because all matters of the world are devolved and comes from Torah. Not only that, but Moshe is considered the leader of all the Yidden, not just in their spiritual needs, but also the physical needs. So even in physical things that we need to be consoled, from Hashem's consolation to Moshe Rabbeinu on the breaking of the luchas, we get our consolation in all matters that we are lacking and needful. Vayidei Nesim, third paragraph on the page, and through the leaders, Gam L'chol Yisrael, also to all Yidden, Nois Valzeh Shekol Nefesh V'Nefesh Beis Yisrael Yeshua B'chiras Moshe Rabbeinu Olav Shalom. In addition to the fact that every single soul of the Jewish people has in it from Moshe Rabbeinu within him. Through the leaders of Yidden, it becomes even more revealed in the Yidden this gift that Moshe Rabbeinu was consoled by Hashem. It's revealed this consolation to every single Yid. In other words, when an event occurs that causes a person to feel pain, Hashem says, along with giving us the power and the ability to be able to handle this, Hashem tells us, Al titzdayer, do not suffer. Along with the reason and the explanation, that this untoward, unwanted event is only for a short while, a short moment. But afterwards, after this negative event, will be added through this an increase, and va'ad until kiflayim l'tushia. It will be an increase that will be double of strength. Kanal, like we said before, an increase that's incomparable. And then the Rebbe says, practically, what does that mean? In our case, soon mamish. In addition to the fact that the entire idea of death will cease, but just the opposite of death will occur. We fulfill the promise that they will awaken and sing, those that are resting in the ground. That will be an increase in joy. In other words, not only will there be no reason for pain and suffering and sadness, but just the opposite. Instead of it being sad, there will be an increase. Like we said before, kiflayim l'tushia, it will be a joy to the unbelievable degree. So too also by those who are mourners, in addition, that they will not add and increase to be sad anymore. But just the opposite. I will transform their sadness to joy. I will transform my sadness to a dance for me. And my mourning and my eulogy, I will transformed to a dance. So this is, instead of not only not mourning, but it will be instead something that will generate simcha. Now here the Rebbe is going to bring an interesting juxtaposition that we find in the Rambam. Just say it outside first. The Rambam said that Moshe Rabbeinu established for Yidden that there's 7 days of mourning and 7 days of celebration for a chasna and kala. So first of all, the general idea of what's the juxtaposition of the two: 7 days of mourning, 7 days of chasna and kala. But also, why does he start with the negative? First he starts with the 7 days of mourning, then he goes with the 7 days of the 7 days of celebration and so on. Immediately after the 7 days. So let's look at, I'm sorry, I might have skipped. Ches. We could say, this idea is also hinted in the expression of the Rambam. Moshe Rabbeinu established for Yidden 7 days of mourning and 7 days of
recording stop progress.
So let me see where this is again. Let's start again from Ches. We could say this idea is also hinted in the expression of the Rambam. Moshe Rabbeinu tikkun lam Yisrael shivas yimei velos shivas yimei mishta, that Moshe Rabbeinu established for Yidden 7 days of mourning and 7 days of celebration for a chasna and kala. That there's a mitzvah for 7 days to be mesameach chasna and kala. What do we see from this expression of the Rambam? That immediately following the 7 days of mourning, the period that we just now concluded, like we mentioned, this was a Sicha the Rebbe said at the conclusion of the Shiva for the Rebbetzin. Boim Shivas Yimei Mishta comes along the 7 days of celebration. In Yonim Shel Simcha, matters of joy. So again, we see this concept that the Rebbe is saying that it's not just that the sadness will cease, but the sadness will be transformed to joy, and not just any joy, not just an ordinary joy. El simchas chasna v'kala, but the joy of a chasna kala, ukedugmasam, and something similar to the joy of a chasna kala. She's simcha achi gedola. The joy of a chasna kala is the greatest type of joy possible. It's the most powerful type of joy. Hakshurim chamisha koilas, that's connected with 5 sounds. It says, kol chasn, kol kala, etc. 5 times it says the word koil. And we know that the Chazal connected Hakshurim Machamisha Koil Shaiva Matan Torah. That the Chazal also connected with the 5 types of koil that took place by Matan Torah as well, the sounds that were by Matan Torah, which that was the ultimate wedding. It was Yom Chasunosi Shal Chodesh Baruch Hu V'Knesset Yisrael. It's the day of the wedding of Hashem and Knesset Yisrael. So now the Rebbe adds even more so about the powerful joy that will follow the mourning. If we could add Isra Medrash, it's brought down the Medrash of Eis Matan Torah Hayu Eirusim Shal Chodesh Baruch Hu Knesset Yisrael. During Matan Torah, it was only the first step of the wedding, known as Eirusim. I don't like to use the word betrothal because people misinterpret it as engagement. Betrothal is the giving of the ring. Eirusim is the giving of the ring. But the days of Moshiach, that's the contraction, the final step in a marriage, the chuppah, the moving in together, etc. Well, so that is the 2 periods of the marriage between us and Hashem. According to this, we could say, this is what the Rambam hints. After the 7 days of mourning come the 7 days of celebration. The 7 days of the celebration is not by the Eirusin time. It's not when we have the betrothal, quote unquote, the giving of the ring, but rather it takes place b'nisuyin, by the second stage of the marriage known as the nisuyin. Shenisuyin, the Bnei Yisrael chasn v'kala kshurim b'dugmas hanisuyin da Kodesh Baruch Hu v'Knesset Yisrael Shiur l'asad lavi. That the final stage of the marriage of the Yidden down here, when there's a physical chasna and kala down here, is connected to and is similar to the marriage of Hashem and the Jewish people. It's going to be when Moshiach comes. We can move in Gam Bezeh, like it's also understood in the language of the Sheva brachas that we recite, the brachas that we recite during these 7 days of celebration after wedding. It speaks over there about the 5 different sounds that's going to be when Moshiach comes. So we see how our marriage and our final stage of marriage and our 7 days of celebration is connected with the 7 days of celebration that will be when Moshiach comes. See, the primary comfort and consolation that will be for the 7 days of mourning is the the final stage of marriage that will be between Hashem and the Jewish people when Moshiach comes. Then it will be that they will awaken and sing those that are resting in the ground, all of Misnachman, including the one who we are being consoled for at present, in other words, the Rebbetzin. Now the Rebbe says Nois Tesel Tesefes Bir for additional explanation. Nisuyin hu hakesher the chasn kala hu kesher nitzchi. The marriage, which is the bond of a chasn and kala, is an everlasting bond. Binyan adiyad, it's considered an everlasting edifice. You can skip the parentheses. Va'ad she'ein ze kesher ben shnei anoshim, to such a degree it's not considered 2 separate people that are making a bond over here through marriage, but rather they are both becoming one matter, one thing. Like it says, there shall be one flesh. That's the connection between awakening and singing. Those are resting in the ground, the idea of marriage. The fact that there could be now a situation of the opposite of life. Though the pasuk says that you are cleaving to Hashem your God, you are living, you are alive today, all of you. It's because the fact that the cleaving and the bond now between Hashem and the Jewish people are not in a revealed state. Yesh Loiman, the Rebbe says parenthetically, one might say, the reason why it could become concealed was because it was only in a way of the first stage of marriage, the betrothal, the giving of the ring. Mashenkin lost in love as opposed to Moshiach's time. So then it will be the final stage of marriage, the Nisuyin. Not only will the life be everlasting life, El Yisayim is even more so, that it will become revealed retroactively, that the life that was there, also the concealment of life that was prior to that, the fact that there could be something that stopped the life. This was only temporary. It's only externally. Internally, it's always connected and always alive. And then the Rebbe calls on and says, if we get at what does it mean there will be like one flesh? Why specifically does he use the term flesh? There will be one. What's the emphasis on flesh? Flesh is a physical thing, not a spiritual thing. That the Jewish people, that through Torah they are one entirely with Hashem, it is not only because and as a result of the neshama, only because of the body and the flesh. The canal, like the Rebbe mentioned earlier in the Sicha, from what we say by when we visit the Oihel. There's the whole nusach we say of their minor lashon taken from the Zohar. It says Gufa delohin kadisha. Their body, the body of the tzaddik, is holy. So in other words, the connection between a Yid and Hashem is not limited to the neshama. It's a bodily connection. Therefore, when the final stage of marriage of Hashem and the Yidden will become revealed, there will be as one flesh. Then they will see how even the cessation of the life of the body that was prior to that was only something external. And the Rebbe says in the footnote, and we see the physicality in the fact that the joy of a chasna and kala has to be done with physical things, with a physical meal and so on and so forth, because it specifically in the physical is manifest the true union and so on. And all of this, that we should come to this joyous time when it will become revealed that the lack of life is only a temporary thing. So we make this quicker and rushed. Through every Yid increasing in his faith and belief in the coming of Moshiach, and his faith and belief in the Tchias HaMeisim, like many have the custom to say in speech in a revealed way. So, we're talking about in non-Lubavitcher Sidurim, they have the 13 animamims of the Rambam, which that the number 12 and number 13 is that I believe in the coming of Moshiach and I believe in Tchias HaMeisim. So the Rebbe right away says, but like we don't say it. Even those that don't say the animamin in speech, They think about it every day, daily. In emphasis, but birchas is especially emphasized with birchas is samach David avtchameres hatzmiach lishvasa kvin chol yom in the bracha where it says that the sprout of David, your king, your servant, you will quickly make sprout forth. It's talking about Moshiach, and to your hope and to your salvation, we hope the entire day, meaning this belief for the coming of Moshiach. And throughout the day, we are looking for and we are waiting the salvation of Moshiach. That's why it says the entire day. Also in Shabbos and Yom Tov Mevakshim, we request v'yoysim rishloisha pamim, and even more so on Shabbos and Yom Tov, more than 3 times a day. And our eyes should see in your return, in Hashem's return, tzion with compassion and mercy. In other words, in a regular weekday, we say it 3 times a day in Shachris, Mincha, and Ma'ariv. On Shabbos, where there's another tefillah, we say it in Shachris, Musaf, Mincha, Ma'ariv. So we say it more than 3 times a day. Like we also mentioned and asked by the tzion of the Frierdiker Rebbe, the special bracha shebekorev mamish leikvan akir kerev ayin yov Moshiach, that speedily mamish, and it shouldn't delay even like an eye blink. Moshiach should come, but take from yad mamish, and immediately. So kitzav aram noshechni offer, they will awaken and sing those that are resting in the ground. And him, the one who's at the oil, in other words, the Frierdiker Rebbe, and all his household, meaning including also his daughter, the Rebbetzin, will be at their head. And the Rebbe brings in the footnote the famous thing that the Gemara says that when Moshiach comes, that immediately Moshe and Aaron and his children will arise. They don't have to wait for any type of period of delay for them to rise by Tchias HaMesim. We go all together to the Holy Land, to our Holy Land. The land that the eyes of Hashem your God is in from the beginning of the year till the end of the year. In such a way that Hashem will broaden your boundaries. V'sham Gufa, and there in the land of Yisrael, of Eretz Yisrael itself, Yerushalayim Kodesh, and Yerushalayim the holy city, Kiryas Melech Rav, the capital city of the great king, V'sham Gufa, and over there itself, Bahar HaKodesh, in the holy mountain, with Beis HaMikdash Shlishi, in the third Beis HaMikdash, Mikdash Adonai Kohen Yedecha, the Mikdash of Hashem, your hands prepared, Binyan Nitzchi, an everlasting building, V'sham Naslo F'necha K'mitzvot Necha, and over there we will do before you like the mitzvahs of your command, Hein Avoyas HaKarbonos, Hein Avoyas HaTfilah, whether it's the avoida of Karbonos, and also the avoida of davening. There's an interesting thing. We always talk about how the tefillah is v'mekayim karbonos, but that doesn't mean that you only have karbonos in the Beis HaMikdash. She loydak v'mekayim karbonos. Davening is not just only in the place of karbonos. Elagam be'etz hakravas hakarbonos hoisa tefillah danshi mishmar maimed. During the bringing of the karbonos, there was the davening of those people that were appointed from the Israelim. The Kohanim and the Levim were actually busy with the karbonos. The Anshe Mishmar, they were selected Yidden from Klal Yisrael, used to come, that were not Kohanim and Levim, used to stand over the carbon, and they used to daven al carbon nachem shiskabel baratzim, for the carbon of their brothers that should be received in an accepted manner, in a willing manner by Hashem. When we say that they prayed for their brothers should be accepted, it's talking about all Klal Yisrael and all the generations that our tefillah should be accepted, was already davened for by the Anshe Mishmar, the Anshe Maimed that stood over the Karbonos in the times of the Beis HaMikdash. It's brought down in Masechtas Tamid about all the different things that they would read. They would read Krishma, they would read other brachas, they would actually read Aser Sadibris by the carbon, different things that they would read. And then the Rebbe concludes, to speed us up even more so, in the sign being that tzedakah, we will conclude with the idea of tzedakah, like lately it's the custom, to make everyone a shliach mitzvah, to be a messenger for tzedakah, to give the tzedakah in the appropriate time, in the appropriate place, and even better, by to add your own to the money that I'm giving you here to tzedakah. In other words, the Rebbe gives you $1, don't just give $1, give $1 plus. And tzedakah is great, that brings close the redemption. Now the Rebbe quotes something that was, in many communities, people would like say this, let's say by a levaya, they used to go around, or sometimes in a Shiva house, they would put like this card with the words, V'tzedakah tatzel mamavis, that tzedakah saves and protects from death. So the Rebbe is going to explain this in a twofold manner. One is the simple manner, which is a koil shnei inyanim, includes in the two aspects. The simple expression is aleph tatzel kipshuta shlayim l'chatchila. It saves a person from death. In other words, it prevents death from occurring. But on a deeper level, the Rebbe has an interesting insight in the words tzedakah tatzel mavis ubeis. That the tzedakah saves those that are resting in the ground from death. What does that mean? Because tzedakah is great, that it brings the Geulah closer. Then it'll be, they will awaken and sing those that are resting in the ground. So that's what it means tzedakah tatzel mavis. It will cause the raising of the dead. It will cause that those that passed away will now come alive again, because tzedakah brings the Geulah closer. And now the Rebbe brings this in to like compare it to another tzedakah. We know there's a certain Maimer Chazal that says that Hashem did a tzedakah, that He spread them amongst the nations. And that was a protection, because then no one nation could come and destroy them, and they'd always have a place where they'd run away to, etc. So the Rebbe is going to say that the tzedakah that we give changes that tzedakah that Hashem spread us out amongst the nation, and brings the Eibishter to do a higher level of tzedakah. So he said, instead of the fact that Hashem did a tzedakah, that He spread us out amongst the nations, tzedakah nitzchis will be the everlasting tzedakah that Hashem will do, a higher and greater tzedakah that Hashem will do. Shakadosh Baruch Hu yotzei bnei Yisrael ma'agolos, that Hashem will take out the Yidden from exile. Especially since the Yidden request about the Geulah, they beg for the Geulah. Not only do they request, but they cry out till when? Also in a way of, metaphorically speaking, we're demanding. So then this, metaphorically speaking, this obligates Hashem to accede to our request. It's not in a way, heaven forbid, that we are forcing Hashem to do something that He doesn't want to do. Our demand for the Geulah like obligates Hashem to do it in such a way that He's happy to do it. K'maimer Chazal, like the Chazal say, when there was a whole dispute in the Gemara, and they said that Hashem can't mix in because Torah lo b'shamayim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu chiyech, Hashem Baruch smiled. V'amar nitzchuni bana nitzchuni, you have defeated me, my children, you have defeated me. She'ya'ana l'bnei Yisrael, so therefore it makes him incumbent upon him to respond and accept what the Yidden are requesting. The Torah already let know and proclaimed that all the ends that were projected by the Chazal already passed, and the matter is only dependent upon Shiva. And the leader of our generation ruled. In other words, the Friedrich Rebbe Ray stated in the name of the Rebbe Marash, it says over here in the footnote, that even the sigh, the krechts of a Yid is considered a complete Shiva. So for sure we all sighed already. So for sure we're ready. We're past the ends, and we're past the Shiva. like the Frierdiker Rebbe already testified, that we already completed all matters. The big dasrod, all that remains is to polish the buttons of the uniform. Beged ish tzava. A uniform is the clothing that a soldier wears. Why specifically polishing the buttons of a uniform of a soldier? Kol Yehudi Yoytze Tzava b'Yisrael. We see in the Torah every Yid is called one that goes out in the army. When every Yid goes out along with his wife and his daughters to greet the face of Hashem, the God of the army, in other words, the host, the army, the Geulah Asida, and the future redemption. So we have to be dressed like an army. So we have to wear the appropriate clothes, big dasrog, the uniform. Moving of pashtus, and it's self-understood. Shemekivin shekvar yoyser mishloishim yoyim. It's more than 30 years that we are polishing the buttons, because since the Rebbe's Nesius, this was in 1988 when it happened. The Rebbe became Rebbe in 1951. So therefore, it's over 30 years since we're already polishing the buttons. Surely they're already perfectly polished. Especially we find ourselves in a year of Hakil, gathered the men, women, and the children. Tafshim Mem Ches, 1988, with the Shnas Hakil, the Shnas Tismach, with the Samach. It's the year of Tafshim Mem Ches, which the Rebbe said stands for you will be happy and you will make others happy. Now is the most auspicious time for the true gathering. Kol Godly Yeshuva Heinma, great congregation will return here with Tismach Amiti, and the true rejoicing, Simchas Olam Al Rosham, the everlasting joy upon their heads. We will not need to speak anymore about this. And to search for all types of hints and to explain all types of explanations. It will be the gathering together and the joy in actuality, in the revealed way. Simcha Geulah, the greatest joy. Until what we're told about, that Hashem will make a dance for tzaddikim. The idea of a dance is connected with a very great joy. This will be revealed to eyes of flesh, until each and every one points with his fingers, like it says, they will say in that day when Moshiach comes, behold, this is our God, and we hope to him, and he has saved us. This is Hashem, that we hope to him, we will rejoice and we will be happy with the salvation. So it says in the pasuk twice the word Zeh, indicating Beis Pamim Zeh, twice Zeh. It's a great revelation. Kiflayim l'tishia, double for strength, like we said before. V'yiratzon should be the will of Hashem. Shekol anal yeh b'poel mamish. All the above will be in actuality. V'take from yad mamish, and immediately la'ikvan afil keher of ayin. He will not delay them even like an eye blink. U'begilu le'in the basar mamish, and reveal to eyes of flesh mamish. Ba'ifin shamar b'atzvay v'ayim razeh, in such a way that he shows points with his fingers and he says this.